Hey y'all, welcome to Pleiadian Point of View. I'm Peyton with Peyton Energetics, and I'm a Pleiadian channel. So in today's point of view, the Pleiadians wanted to talk to us a little bit about reflections. And what they mean by this is our world, which has gotten a little crazy lately, is really just a reflection of ourselves. So the Pleiadians like to say that what we see in the world around us is reflecting back to us our energy. So really anything that's happening out there is showing you what is going on with your energy field. So our reflection in our external reality is showing us the cumulative effect of our beliefs and our frequency. So when we are looking around at the outside world, as most of us have been lately, and we see things melting down a little bit, we are seeing the breakdown of our own belief systems. So that is one of the reasons why things in the outside world have gotten a little spicy lately. Things have gotten a little messy, a little chaotic, and what we are seeing is a reflection of how we are, both individually and collectively, breaking down the belief systems that kept us in 3D. Now, one thing that can happen as we go through this process of breaking down our belief structures, especially those kind of fundamental beliefs, the ones that have held the entire 3D game in place, as we start to break those down, we see a matching breakdown in our reality. So we're seeing the reflection of all the hard work we have been doing to break out of all of the limiting beliefs that kept us in a lower density, a lower dimension. So that's why it looks like things are kind of blowing up in the world around us. It's because we are blowing up those old limiting belief structures. And one of the reasons why things seem to have gotten so bad in the outside world is because we're finally starting to break down those core templates. So those planetary templates, which is that fancy word the P's like to use to talk to us about global energies, the ones that kind of are anchors on the entire human collective. And we have moved into a phase where we are breaking down the fundamental glue that holds 3D together. Because some of the limiting beliefs that keep us collectively in 3 and 4D are the beliefs in lack, in limitation, in separation, in poverty, and all of these other things that are based in lack and limitation. And as we start to break down these fundamental core energies, we see a resulting shakeup in the world around us. Because remember, what you see in your external reality is just a reflection of you. Your mind is creating the entire thing. So one thing that often happens that the P's wanted to bring to our attention is that when we start to see things getting shaken up in our external reality, the mind gets very threatened by this. And so the mind wants to freak out. It gets into survival mode. And this tends to throw us into spirals of anger, of confusion. And all of this is just the mind desperately trying to hold on to the life that it knew, trying to hold on to those old belief structures that made the mind feel safe. The mind is very used to lack and limitation and separation. That's the known zone for the brain. And so the mind gets very, very threatened when we start to break down our fundamental beliefs, especially when we start to do this on a collective level. So what the Pleiadians are encouraging us to do as we move through these times that can be very unnerving. They have got a lot of us feeling a little alarmed, a little bit like we don't really know what is happening and where this is all going. But what the P's encourage us to do is not slip into victim mode, because it's super tempting for us to do that, because it can appear to our ego minds like we are losing control of our reality, like there are outside forces that are in a position to harm us. So what the P's wanted to help us do is look at this from a different perspective, to look at what is going on as evidence of all the great work we're doing to break down the third dimension, and to kind of interpret the meltdown in the world around us as a sign of our progress. Now, one thing we have to do in order to do this is to stay out of the mind about it, because the mind is going to want to latch on to those scary stories of what we hear is happening in the world around us. And the mind will spiral out and really keep that going as long as it possibly can, getting us into fear, anger, confusion. That's what the mind does. But if we look at this as a sign that we are breaking down those limiting belief structures, we can start to use what is happening in the outside world as creative fuel. So in order to use what we see happening in the outside world in a beneficial way, is to identify what it is reflecting to us. So as you look out at what is happening in the world, what emotions is it triggering in you? Is it anger? Is it that you're noticing what seems to be a lot of negative behavior in the world? So just asking yourself, what is the reflection showing you? And then take whatever that triggering thing is, whether it is a person who is making you crazy, whether it is something that you are seeing people do in the world that is abusive or cruel, whatever that thing is, bringing it into your heart. Because as you do that simple step of bringing whatever is triggering you into your heart, you break down the negative energy or the negative imprinting on that energy, and you turn it into pure creative source energy. And what that does is it gives you an energetic reservoir to create what you want to see instead. It is only when we get in a fight with what we are seeing in the world around us, when we get mad at the kind of really extremely negative behavior that we're seeing right now, and some of the things that are being revealed are extremely negative, extremely abusive. When we see these things and we start to get angry with it, we keep the timeline activated. And so that is what keeps us in lower timelines. Is we look at what is going on, what other people are doing, what other people are saying, and we get in a fight with it. We get mad at it. We get in fear of it. And what that does is it glues it to us, because we're feeding that thing. Because when you see something that makes you angry and you stay in anger about it for a long time, you are matching its energy. You are feeding it. So when you are looking at things that are being revealed in our world about the things that people are doing, and that some of the control structures on our planet are doing that are not in the best interest of humanity, when you look at that and you get mad at it, or you are afraid of it and feel powerless, you are feeding it with your energy. That's one of the reasons why the Matrix and our mainstream pumps out messages of fear 24/7. It is because it is trying to tempt us to match that energy. And we want to decline that invitation. So the way you can use all of these negative events that seem to be happening in the world around us in a positive way is by looking at it and reclaiming it as your energy. And all you have to do that is pull that thing into your heart. Send it love. Send it forgiveness. Because as you do, you take responsibility for that thing as part of your creation. It is when we try to stay separate from it, make it someone else is doing something bad, we stay in third dimensional energies. Because 3D is the energy of separation. But once we can look at some of the very negative and kind of scary things happening in the world and bring them into our heart and acknowledge that, even though we don't love it, is still our creation. Because as you hear the P's say all the time, it's all you. So once we bring that thing into our heart, we reclaim it and turn it into pure creative source energy. And when we are no longer fighting and in resistance to what we are seeing in the world around us, we move to a timeline where that thing no longer exists because we are not staying energetically entangled with it. It is when we are resisting it, making it bad, making it wrong, being afraid of it, that we stay in a relationship with it. So the way to release all of these things that we're seeing in the world that we don't prefer is we have to get out of resistance with it. And we do that by bringing it into our heart and forgiving it. And as we do that, when we are no longer reacting emotionally to it, it starts to fade from our reality. So this is what the Pleiadians wanted to help us understand, help us shift our perspective, because they have seen over the past couple of months that things have gotten a little bumpy down here. And so they wanted to help us use this turbulence that we are going through in a positive way, because it's all about perspective. So once we see the craziness in the world as a good thing, and we process any of the energy that is keeping it active, because as we always say, we don't want to be in denial about anything, because that just keeps the energy active too, active but suppressed. And what we want to do is make it active but integrated. So bring those things into your heart chakra, strip the negative imprinting off of them. And what the P's have to say is we will see these things fading from our reality. So you are always sovereign. This is all you. You created it. And because of that, you can always use it in a beneficial way. So that is what the P's wanted to share with us in this week's point of view. Let me know in the comments below, how are you doing in these energies? It has been a little bit of a bumpy ride lately. So drop that in the comment box below. And while you're down there, don't forget, hit the subscribe button and the like button if you haven't done that yet. I'll see you soon. Bye.